before I dive in, hit the subscribe button. The divorce papers landed on our kitchen table with the quiet devastation of a bomb. 7 years of marriage reduced to legal jargon and signature lines. I stared at my husband James across the granite island that had once been the heart of our home, the place where we'd cooked Sunday dinners and planned vacations. His eyes, once warm amber pools I could drown in, now regarded me with cold detachment. "It's for the best, Eliza," he said, sliding a pen toward me. "We've been pretending for too long." The irony was, he had no idea just how much pretending I'd been doing. Not about loving him, that had always been real, but about who I really was. Even I didn't know the full truth yet. 3 days earlier, I'd received a cryptic email from a prestigious law firm requesting a meeting about a matter of significant inheritance. I'd assumed it was a scam until their follow-up call mentioned details about my birth that no one could possibly know, the small crescent birthmark behind my left ear, the unusual circumstances of my hospital delivery. Things not even James knew about. "I need time," I whispered, pushing the divorce papers back. "Just a few days." "To do what, Eliza?" "Drag this out longer." His voice had an edge I'd grown too familiar with over our last year together. "The apartment is already rented. I start my new job in Seattle next week." Seattle? 2,000 miles away from our Chicago brownstone. From me. From everything we'd built together. I fought back tears as I watched him pace our kitchen, the man I'd fallen for in graduate school, whose dreams had once been intertwined with mine. What happened to us? The question escaped before I could stop it. James sighed, running his fingers through his dark hair, now threaded with silver at the temples. "You know what happened. We want different things. You're obsessed with finding your birth parents, with this identity crisis. I've been patient, Eliza, but it's consumed you. And honestly, I'm tired of feeling like I'm not enough." The accusation stung because there was truth in it. Being adopted had never bothered me until my adoptive parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. Their loss had created a void that awakened questions I'd never cared to ask before. Who was I really? Where did I come from? What James didn't understand, what I couldn't explain, was the recurring dream that had haunted me since childhood, standing in an opulent room, a man's face just out of view, his voice saying, "You'll always be mine." The dream had become more frequent, more vivid since losing my parents. "This meeting tomorrow, it could be important," I said. "Another wild goose chase." He shook his head. "Remember that DNA service that supposedly found your third cousin twice removed in Norway? Or that adoption detective who took $5,000 and delivered nothing?" I flinched. Our savings account had never recovered from that mistake. "This is different," I insisted. "It's always different." James leaned against the counter, suddenly looking exhausted. "I didn't sign up to search for ghosts, Eliza. I wanted a family. Children. A future that isn't shadowed by the past." The words cut deeper than he knew. My obsession with finding my origins had derailed our plans for children. Each year, I'd asked for just a little more time. Now, at 35, those delays had cost us everything. "If you could just wait until after tomorrow's meeting." "I've been waiting for years." He pushed away from the counter. "The Eliza I married lived in the present. I don't even recognize you anymore." That night, I slept in our guest room, clutching the business card from Whitaker and Stern, attorneys at law. James's words echoed in my mind, "I don't even recognize you anymore." The truth was, neither did I. Morning came with the finality of endings. James had packed the last of his things while I slept. He stood at our front door, 2 suitcases at his feet, his face a mask of resignation. "I've transferred my half of this month's mortgage," he said. "Should give you time to figure things out." I nodded, unable to speak past the knot in my throat. "The papers are still on the table. My lawyer will contact you if..." He trailed off, then squared his shoulders. "Goodbye, Eliza." The door clicked shut with terrible softness. Through the window, I watched him load his luggage into a waiting taxi. He didn't look back as it pulled away. Alone in our suddenly cavernous home, I made coffee out of habit, though my stomach rebelled at the thought of food. The divorce papers seemed to pulse with malevolent energy from the kitchen table. I avoided looking at them as I dressed for my 11 a.m. appointment. The offices of Whittaker and Stern occupied the top 3 floors of a sleek downtown high-rise. In the elevator, my reflection looked haggard, dark circles under my eyes, my normally tamed auburn hair escaping its clip. I'd thrown on the black pantsuit I used for job interviews, but it hung loose on my frame. Stress had stolen pounds I couldn't afford to lose. "Ms. Bennett." The receptionist smiled. "Mr. Whittaker is ready for you." As I followed her through the maze of gleaming hallways, I had no idea I was walking toward a revelation that would shatter everything I thought I knew about myself. No idea that by this time tomorrow, the divorce papers sitting unsigned on my kitchen table would represent James's biggest regret. No idea that the name Eliza Bennett was about to become one that would change everything, not just for me, but for one of the wealthiest dynasties in America. And James had just walked away from it all. The attorney's office felt like something from another century, all dark wood paneling, leather-bound books, and furniture that had witnessed generations of secrets. Mr. Whittaker himself matched the decor, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, with the polished manners of someone accustomed to handling delicate matters for the extremely wealthy. "Please, Ms. Bennett, have a seat." He gestured to a chair across from his massive desk. "Can I offer you coffee? Water?" "I'm fine, thank you." My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "Your email mentioned an inheritance matter?" He nodded, opening a leather portfolio. "Before we begin, I need to confirm your identity." He slid a document toward me. "This authorizes us to take a DNA sample, just a simple cheek swab. A formality, but necessary given the circumstances." My heartbeat quickened. "DNA? Who exactly am I supposed to be related to, Mr. Whittaker?" He studied me for a moment, his expression unreadable. "Are you familiar with the name Harrison Blackwood?" The name hit me like a physical blow. Everyone knew Harrison Blackwood, the reclusive tech pioneer whose innovations had revolutionized artificial intelligence in the early 2000s. His company, Blackwood Technologies, was worth billions. His face had graced magazine covers, though he'd become increasingly private after his wife's death 15 years ago. "I don't understand," I whispered. "What does Harrison Blackwood have to do with me?" Whittaker leaned forward. "Mr. Blackwood believes you may be his daughter." The room seemed to tilt sideways. "That's impossible. I was adopted as an infant." "My birth parents were," I faltered, realizing I'd never actually seen documentation about my birth parents. My adoptive mother had always said they were college students who weren't ready for a child. 35 years ago, Whittaker continued, his voice gentle but matter-of-fact, Harrison Blackwood's first wife, Catherine, gave birth to a daughter at Chicago Memorial Hospital. 3 days later, there was a kidnapping attempt. The security detail thwarted it, but it terrified the young parents. Mr. Blackwood was already gaining prominence in tech circles, already a target. He opened a file, removing a faded newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Tech Entrepreneur's Newborn Targeted in Failed Kidnapping." Catherine suffered from severe postpartum depression, exacerbated by the incident. Harrison made an impossible decision to place their daughter with a trusted adoption agency, giving her a new identity, complete anonymity. Protection through obscurity. I shook my head, disbelieving. But why would he look for me now? After 35 years. Catherine died never knowing what happened to her daughter. It was her dying wish that Harrison find you, but he honored their agreement to keep you hidden until he believed it was safe. Whittaker paused. He's been searching discreetly for years. Recent health concerns have made the matter more urgent. Health concerns. The words came automatically. Mr. Blackwood was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia 6 months ago. My mind raced, trying to process the impossible. My recurring dream, the opulent room, the man's voice. Had they been memories, not dreams? I need proof, I said finally. This sounds fantastical. Whitaker nodded as if he'd expected this. He removed a small velvet box from his desk drawer and slid it across to me. Inside was a delicate gold locket, heart-shaped with intricate engravings. This belonged to Catherine. Inside is a lock of hair, yours, taken the day you were born. We've already tested it against Mr. Blackwood's DNA. The results were conclusive, but he wants your consent for an official test. With trembling fingers, I opened the locket. A wisp of auburn hair, the same unusual shade as my own, was preserved inside. Next to it, a tiny photograph of a woman with my eyes, my chin, cradling a newborn. Something broke inside me. A dam of emotions I'd been holding back my entire life. Tears streamed down my face as pieces of my fractured identity began reassembling themselves. Why now? I managed to ask. Why did he wait so long? The people who attempted to kidnap you were never caught, Whitaker explained. Mr. Blackwood had evidence they were industrial rivals, willing to use his child as leverage. As his wealth grew, so did the potential danger. Only after Catherine's death did he begin searching, and it's taken nearly a decade to find you. I signed the DNA consent form in a daze. The swab took seconds. Whitaker assured me the results would be expedited. Mr. Blackwood would like to meet you as soon as possible, assuming the test confirms what we already know. He handed me an envelope. This contains preliminary documentation of your inheritance position. As Mr. Blackwood's only child, you stand to inherit controlling interest in Blackwood Technologies and personal assets totaling approximately $8.7 billion. The number was so enormous it became abstract, meaningless. I couldn't reconcile it with my life, the modest teaching position I'd lost during pandemic budget cuts, the mortgage James and I had struggled to pay, the credit card debt that kept me awake at night. James. The divorce papers waiting on our kitchen table seemed to belong to another lifetime now. Would this change his mind? The thought made me feel hollow inside. There's one more thing, Whitaker said, interrupting my thoughts. Given the value of the inheritance and potential security concerns, we've taken the liberty of arranging temporary security for you, effective immediately. As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. A woman entered, tall, athletic, with the alert eyes of someone constantly assessing her surroundings. This is Sophia Chen, head of your security detail. She'll remain with you until more permanent arrangements are made. I don't understand, I said. Why would I need security now? Whitaker's expression turned grave. Because as of this morning, Ms. Bennett, news of your existence has leaked to the press. By tomorrow, everyone will know that Harrison Blackwood's long-lost heir has been found. I thought of my empty house, my soon-to-be ex-husband halfway to Seattle by now, the life I'd built crumbling around me. And now this stranger was telling me I was an heiress to billions, with potential enemies and a dying father I'd never known. The car is waiting downstairs, Sophia said quietly. We should go before the press arrives. As we rode down in the elevator, my phone buzzed with a text. James. Turn on the news. Why is your picture on CNBC? What the hell is going on, Eliza? I stared at the message as the elevator doors opened, revealing a lobby already filling with reporters and cameras. Sophia moved in front of me protectively as flashbulbs exploded in my face. Ms. Bennett. Is it true you're Harrison Blackwood's daughter? Eliza. How does it feel to become a billionaire overnight? Did you know about your connection to the Blackwood fortune? As Sophia guided me through the chaos toward a waiting black SUV, one reporter's question cut through the noise. Is it true your husband filed for divorce just days before your identity was revealed? Before I continue, hit the subscribe button. The SUV cut through Chicago traffic like a black phantom, windows tinted so dark the outside world became a blur of colors and shapes. Sophia sat beside me, speaking rapidly into her earpiece about secure perimeters and media containment. I stared at my phone as notifications flooded in, amidst calls from numbers I didn't recognize, social media requests by the hundreds, and text after text from James. We need to get you somewhere safe until things settle, Sophia said, finally turning to me. Standard protocol when a high-net-worth individual is suddenly exposed to public scrutiny. High-net-worth individual. The phrase felt like a costume I was being forced to wear, ill-fitting and ridiculous. 24 hours ago, I'd been calculating if I could afford to fix the leaking shower in the guest bathroom. Where are we going? I asked, watching familiar streets slip away. The Peninsula Hotel. We've secured the entire top floor. Mr. Blackwood has arranged everything. Mr. Blackwood. My father. The words refused to connect in my mind. Does he want to see me? My voice sounded childlike, even to my own ears. Sophia's expression softened slightly. He's flying in from San Francisco tonight. His doctors advised against travel, but he was insistent. The thought of meeting the man who had given me away, even if for my protection, sent waves of conflicting emotions through me: anger, curiosity, fear, longing. Before I could process any of them, my phone rang. James. I hesitated, finger hovering over the screen. You don't have to answer that, Sophia said quietly. But I did. Of course I did. James. Eliza, what the hell? His voice was breathless, bewildered. I'm watching CNBC, and they're saying you're Harrison Blackwood's daughter. That you're inheriting billions? Tell me this is some kind of mistake. I closed my eyes, suddenly exhausted. It's not a mistake. I just found out myself. A long pause followed. I could almost see him, pacing in some airport lounge, running his hand through his hair the way he did when overwhelmed. I'm coming back, he said finally. We need to talk. Something cold settled in my chest. Now you want to talk? Now that I might be worth billions. That's not fair. This changes everything, Eliza. It doesn't change what happened between us. It doesn't change the fact that you gave up on me or on us. I never gave up on you, he said, voice rising. I gave up on chasing ghosts. And now it turns out you were right all along. Your intuition was right. Don't you see? This is a sign. A bitter laugh escaped me. A sign? No, James. This is irony. The SUV pulled into the underground parking of the Peninsula Hotel. Sophia gestured that we needed to move. I have to go, I said. Wait, where are you staying? I'll fly back tonight. Don't, I said, the word sharper than I intended. Just, don't come back for this. It's too late. I hung up before he could respond. Sophia led me through a service elevator to the top floor, where a team of security personnel waited. The presidential suite had been transformed into a command center, with people monitoring screens and speaking into headsets. Is all this really necessary? I asked as a woman scanned me with a handheld metal detector. We've already intercepted 2 paparazzi trying to access this floor, Sophia replied. And Mr. Blackwood has received 3 concerning messages from individuals who have tracked his movements in the past. Until we assess the full spectrum of threats, we maintain maximum security. The suite itself was larger than my entire home, decorated in elegant creams and golds that made me acutely aware of my rumpled clothing and tear-stained face. I was directed to the master bedroom, where luggage awaited. Your personal items from your home, Sophia explained. A team retrieved them an hour ago. The intrusion should have bothered me, but I was too numb to care. I sank onto the edge of the bed, staring at the Chicago skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. Mr. Blackwood is requesting to speak with you, Sophia said, extending a secure satellite phone. Whenever you're ready. I took the phone with trembling hands. Hello? Eliza. The voice was deep, slightly raspy, with the cadence of someone who chose words carefully. I've imagined this conversation for 15 years. Something about his voice triggered a memory, or perhaps that recurring dream. I closed my eyes, trying to place it. Why did you give me away? The question burst from me, raw and unfiltered. A heavy sigh came through the line. The night after the kidnapping attempt, I found a note in your nursery. Next time, we won't fail. Catherine was already struggling, barely able to hold you without trembling. We had two options: surround you with visible security for your entire childhood, making you a constant target, or give you anonymity, a normal life. But you could have told me when I was older, I said, fighting back tears. I've spent years searching, wondering who I am. By then, Catherine had made me promise never to disrupt your life. She believed you were happier not knowing, safer in obscurity. It was only after her death that I began looking for you. And Eliza, his voice broke slightly, you have no idea how difficult you were to find. The agency we used did an extraordinary job hiding your trail. So what happens now? I asked, gazing around the luxury suite that represented a world I'd never belonged to. Now we meet. We talk. I have so much to tell you, to show you. And there are decisions you'll need to make about your inheritance. I don't care about the money, I said honestly. A soft chuckle came through the line. I said the same thing when I made my first $1 million. But money isn't just currency, Eliza. It's power, power to build, to change things, to protect what matters. The Blackwood fortune comes with responsibilities I've carried alone for too long. A knock at the door interrupted us. Sophia entered, her expression tense. Mr. Blackwood, we have a situation, she said toward the phone. James Bennett is in the hotel lobby, demanding to see his wife. He's creating a scene, and the press is filming. My stomach dropped. James knew exactly how to find me, he'd simply followed the news vans. I need to deal with this, I said into the phone. Eliza, wait. Harrison's voice sharpened with urgency. There's something you need to know before you see him. The investigators I hired, they didn't just find you. They investigated everyone in your life. Including your husband. An icy feeling spread through me. What are you saying? James Bennett knew who you were. He's known for at least a year. The phone nearly slipped from my fingers. That's impossible. 3 payments of $50,000 each were transferred to his private account from a shell company linked to my former business partner, Edward Vance. The timing aligns with your renewed search for your birth parents. No, I whispered, though pieces were falling into terrible place. James's increasing frustration with my search, his sudden decision to end our marriage just days before my identity would be revealed. Vance has been trying to take control of Blackwood Technologies for years, Harrison continued. He needed you out of the picture before the inheritance became public. Your husband was helping him. The betrayal cut so deep I couldn't breathe. James hadn't just given up on our marriage, he'd been paid to do it. Miss Bennett, Sophia interjected, we need to decide how to handle this. If you don't want to see him. No, I said, finding strength in my rage. I want to see him. I want to see his face when he realizes what he's done. As Sophia made arrangements, Harrison spoke once more. Eliza, be careful. Men like your husband, they're dangerous when cornered. I ended the call and moved to the window, watching the media circus forming outside the hotel. Camera lights flashed like lightning around a familiar figure, James, his face upturned toward the upper floors, searching for me. He'd walked away when I was just Eliza Bennett, struggling teacher with an obsession for finding her past. Now he wanted Eliza Blackwood, billionaire heiress. But as I slipped on a hotel robe and prepared to face him, I realized I wasn't either of those women anymore. I was someone new entirely, someone with nothing left to lose and a lifetime of secrets to uncover. And James was about to meet her. The private elevator descended with excruciating slowness. Sophia stood beside me, radiating quiet concern. We've secured a conference room off the main lobby, she explained. Limited access, no press. Security will be present but unobtrusive. I nodded, barely hearing her. My mind was replaying every moment of the past year through a new, horrifying lens. James's sudden business trips. The unexplained cash he'd used for that weekend in Napa. His insistence that I stop searching for my birth parents, had that been protection or manipulation? Are you sure about this? Sophia asked as the elevator doors opened. We can remove him from the premises. I need to hear it from him, I said, straightening my shoulders. I need to see his face when he lies to me. The conference room was small but elegant, with a polished table and plush chairs. James was already seated, his back to the door. When it opened, he sprang up, his face lighting with an expression I once would have mistaken for love. Eliza, thank God. He moved toward me, arms outstretched, but stopped when I flinched away. What's wrong? What's happening? I studied him, this man I'd shared a bed with for 7 years. His navy suit was new, I noticed distantly. He'd gotten a haircut too. Preparing for his new life in Seattle, or for his return to the wife he now knew was an heiress. When did Edward Vance first contact you? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The change in his expression was subtle but unmistakable, a flicker of panic quickly masked by confusion. Who? I don't know what you're talking about. 3 payments, James. $50,000 each. Deposited in an offshore account you opened last April. I placed my hands flat on the table to stop their trembling. The same month you started suggesting we take a break from searching for my birth parents. His face went through a complex series of expressions, shock, denial, calculation, and finally, a sort of resigned defensiveness. You don't understand, he said, lowering his voice. It wasn't what you think. Then explain it to me. The calm in my voice surprised us both. James sank back into his chair, suddenly looking smaller. Vance approached me after that charity event last spring, the one at the Art Institute. He said he knew who you really were, that he'd been watching you for years. And you didn't think to tell me this. The first crack appeared in my composure. He threatened me, Eliza. Said if I told you anything, we'd both be in danger. He just wanted me to discourage your search. To protect his business interests. By divorcing me. The words came out as a bitter laugh. That was your protection. His eyes darted away. The divorce was Vance's idea. The timing, it wasn't coincidental. He knew Blackwood's lawyers had found you. He wanted you isolated, vulnerable when the news broke. So you could swoop back in afterward. I guessed. The devoted husband, ready to support his suddenly wealthy wife. A flush crept up his neck. It wasn't like that. I was going to tell you everything once you were safe. Safe. I repeated the word like a foreign concept. You took money to manipulate me, to break my heart, to leave me at the most vulnerable moment of my life. And you're talking about safety. The money was insurance, he insisted, leaning forward. I was planning to use it against Vance, to expose him once you were secure in your inheritance. I was playing the long game, Eliza. Our marriage was a game to you. No. God, no. He reached for my hand, I pulled away. I loved you, or I still love you. But when I found out who you really were, it complicated things. It clarified things, I corrected him. For both of us. The conference room door opened. A security team member leaned in to whisper something to Sophia, whose expression turned grave. Ms. Bennett, we need to move you immediately. Mr. Blackwood's plane has landed, and we've detected unusual surveillance activity around the hotel. James stood quickly. I'm coming with you. No, I said, the word final. You're not. Eliza, please. Desperation edged his voice. You don't understand who Vance is, what he's capable of. I made a mistake, but I can help protect you now. For a moment, I saw the James I'd fallen in love with, earnest, protective, seemingly sincere. But the offshore account, the divorce papers, the timing, they told a different story. The papers are still on our kitchen table, I said quietly. Unsigned. I'll have my lawyer contact yours with a counteroffer. His face paled. What are you saying? I'm saying I want everything. The house, the car, the savings, all of it. Consider it the price of your freedom. I turned to leave, then paused. And James? If you ever contact me again, if you ever speak my name to the press, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you really are. The journey back upstairs passed in a blur. Security personnel moved around me like choreographed dancers, speaking in clipped, urgent tones. I caught fragments: perimeter breach, unknown vehicles, potential extraction team. Is Harrison here? I asked Sophia as we re-entered the suite. She nodded. Arrived by private helicopter on the roof. He's waiting for you in the East Wing. My heart hammered as she led me through the sprawling suite to a sitting room overlooking the lake. A silver-haired man stood at the window, his back to me, leaning slightly on an elegant cane. When he turned, I gasped softly. My eyes. My cheekbones. The same slight asymmetry to the smile that had always made me self-conscious in photos. Eliza, he said, and it was the voice from my dreams, deep, slightly raspy, achingly familiar. I stepped forward on legs that threatened to buckle. Harrison. Call me Harry, he said, moving toward me with cautious hope in his eyes. Everyone who matters does. We stood facing each other, neither sure how to bridge the 3-decade gap between us. Then, with a suddenness that surprised us both, I was in his arms, sobbing against his expensive suit while his own tears dampened my hair. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Before I could respond, the suite security system blared to life. Red lights flashed as Sophia burst into the room. We have a breach, she announced. Multiple armed intruders in the stairwell. We need to move now. Harrison's face hardened as he pulled away, gripping my shoulders. Eliza, listen carefully. What happens in the next few minutes will determine everything. I need you to trust me completely. Why? What's happening? Edward Vance isn't just trying to take my company, he said, his voice urgent. He's after something much more valuable, something only you have access to. I don't understand. You will. He pressed something cold and metallic into my palm, a small key, antique-looking. This opens a safe deposit box at First National. Inside is everything you need to know, about your mother, about why you were really hidden away. Sophia interrupted, panic edging her voice. Sir, we need to move now. Harrison nodded, then fixed me with an intense gaze. Remember this, the Blackwood fortune isn't what they want. It's the Blackwood Protocol. Catherine didn't die of cancer, Eliza. She was silenced. Before I could process these shocking words, glass shattered somewhere in the suite. Gunshots echoed, followed by shouts. Sophia grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a hidden panel in the wall. Wait! I cried, reaching back toward Harrison. Come with us. But my father, this man I'd only just found, shook his head, his eyes full of a lifetime of regret and newfound determination. Find the truth, Eliza, he called as the panel began to close between us. Finish what your mother started. As Sophia pulled me through darkness toward an unknown escape route, clutching the mysterious key in my trembling hand, I realized that finding my identity was only the beginning. The real mystery, the one that might cost us all our lives, was just starting to unfold. Darkness enveloped us as Sophia led me through a narrow passage behind the walls of the Peninsula Hotel. My lungs burned with each breath, the key Harrison had given me clutched so tightly in my palm that it left an imprint. Gunshots and shouts echoed behind us, growing fainter as we descended through what seemed to be a maintenance shaft. Who are those people? I gasped as we reached a service elevator. What do they want? Sophia's face was grim in the dim emergency lighting. Edward Vance's extraction team. They're not here to negotiate. But my father has his own security detail. Our priority is getting you to the safe deposit box. The elevator opened directly into an underground parking garage where a nondescript sedan waited. As we sped through Chicago's streets, sirens wailed in the distance. News alerts flooded my phone, shooting at Peninsula Hotel, Blackwood Heir in danger, tech billionaire wounded in attack. Wounded. Not dead. The word gave me desperate hope. Sophia, who is Edward Vance really? What's the Blackwood Protocol? She kept her eyes on the road, weaving through traffic with practiced precision. I only know pieces. Vance was your father's original business partner. They split 15 years ago, around the time your mother died. Harrison said she was silenced. Sophia nodded grimly. The official story was pancreatic cancer. But there were rumors. Catherine Blackwood was a brilliant cryptographer. She created the security architecture that made Blackwood Technologies revolutionary. First National Bank loomed ahead, its stone facade intimidating in the gathering twilight. Sophia parked in an alley behind the building. The bank closed hours ago, I said. Your father has arrangements. She led me to a service entrance where a security guard waited, recognition flashing in his eyes when he saw us. The vault area was eerily silent, our footsteps echoing on marble floors. The guard led us to a private room where safe deposit boxes lined the walls. Box 1135, I read from the key. The process was swift and practiced. 2 keys, a biometric scan, a metal box placed before me on a polished table. Sophia stepped outside with the guard, giving me privacy. Inside the box lay a sealed envelope, a small external hard drive, and a worn leather journal with Catherine embossed on the cover. With trembling fingers, I opened the envelope first. My dearest daughter. If you're reading this, you finally learned the truth of your birth, and Harrison has found you at last. I pray I'm there to see it, but I've made arrangements in case my suspicions about Edward prove correct. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but you must believe me. The Blackwood Protocol isn't just software, it's the most dangerous technological breakthrough of our lifetime. I created it as a security system, but Edward saw its true potential, autonomous decision-making that could anticipate human behavior with perfect accuracy. Imagine algorithms that could predict stock markets without fail, election outcomes with absolute certainty, human decisions before they're made. In the wrong hands, it would end free will itself. I couldn't destroy my creation, it was too deeply embedded in our systems. Instead, I fractured it, hiding pieces across disconnected networks. The final key, the sequence that prevents anyone from reassembling it, is encoded in your DNA itself. You were never hidden to protect you from kidnapping, my love. You were hidden to protect humanity from what Edward would do to obtain the key you unknowingly carry. Trust no one who worked with Edward. The protocol can be used to identify anyone susceptible to manipulation. Even those closest to you may be compromised without their knowledge. All my love? Catherine. My hands shook as I set down the letter. The journal contained page after page of complex code and desperate personal entries documenting my mother's growing fear of her own creation. The hard drive, I suspected, contained the evidence. My phone rang, Harrison's secure line. Eliza. His voice was weak, the connection unstable. Did you find it? Yes, I whispered. Dad, are you okay? The word slipped out naturally, surprising us both. A pained chuckle came through the line. I've been better. Listen carefully, Vance thinks he's won. My security team captured one of his men. The attack was a distraction. They've already taken what they really wanted from your house. What? Your hairbrush, toothbrush, DNA samples. They don't need you anymore, Eliza. They have what they need to extract the key. Cold fear washed over me. The letter says the key is in my DNA. Catherine was brilliant that way, Harrison said, his voice fading slightly. She encoded the final sequence using a technique called DNA steganography. But what Vance doesn't know is that the key is useless without Catherine's biometric signature. Which died with her, I realized. No. Harrison's voice grew urgent. It lives in you. Your retinal pattern, combined with your DNA sequence, that's the failsafe. Catherine designed it around the one person she knew would never willingly unlock the protocol. Sudden understanding dawned. That's why you waited so long to find me. You were protecting me from this responsibility. I was trying to, he admitted. But Catherine knew this day would come. The final safeguard is your choice, Eliza. Your conscious decision to lock the protocol away forever. The vault door opened. Sophia appeared, her expression tense. We have a situation. Behind her stood James, hands raised as a second security officer held him at gunpoint. He was outside, Sophia explained. Says he needs to warn you. James's eyes met mine, desperate and sincere in a way I hadn't seen in years. Vance sent me to stall you at the hotel, he confessed. But I heard what they're planning. They don't just want the protocol, they've already used fragments of it. The divorce, my doubts about your search, those weren't entirely mine. They've been using predictive behavior modification on both of us for years. The horror of this revelation settled over me. How much of my life had been manipulated? How much of my pain engineered? Why should I believe you now? I demanded. Because I'm choosing to, he said simply. Whatever they did to influence me, whatever algorithms they used, I'm fighting it. I still love you, Eliza. I always have. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a video call, an unknown number. When I answered, Edward Vance's face filled the screen, his silver hair and patrician features forming a mask of false concern. Eliza Blackwood. At last we meet. I'm sorry about the theatrics at the hotel. Your father never did understand the importance of our work. Where is he? I demanded. The camera panned to show Harrison on a stretcher, medical personnel working around him. Still alive, for now. Stubborn as always. Vance smiled thinly. I have a proposition. The key in your DNA, we've already extracted it. But we need your conscious participation to unlock the protocol. Come to Blackwood Technologies headquarters, give us access, and your father receives the medical care he desperately needs. And if I refuse, then the world never benefits from Catherine's genius. And Harrison doesn't make it through the night. Vance leaned closer to the camera. You have 1 hour. The call ended. James stepped forward cautiously. You can't give him what he wants, he said. The protocol in his hands would mean the end of human autonomy. He's already using fragments to manipulate global markets, political systems, even personal relationships. I looked from James to Sophia, then down at my mother's journal. I don't intend to give him anything, I said, a plan forming in my mind. But I will meet him. I flipped through the journal until I found what I needed, a sequence Catherine had labeled Ouroboros. My mother built a kill switch, I explained. A virus designed to corrupt the protocol beyond recovery, triggered only by the complete key. You destroy your inheritance. Sophia asked. The technology is worth trillions. I thought of the lives manipulated by Vance, of James's compromised choices, of my mother's sacrifice. Some legacies aren't meant to be claimed, I said. Some are meant to be ended. An hour later, I stood in the gleaming lobby of Blackwood Technologies, my mother's journal hidden in my coat, James and Sophia flanking me. Vance waited with an entourage of security personnel and technicians. Welcome home, Eliza, he said, extending his hand. Your father is in our medical facility upstairs. Shall we proceed? As we rode the elevator to the top floor, I felt strangely calm. The DNA key they'd extracted was useless without my conscious participation, without my choice. And I had made my choice. The biometric scanner awaited me in a room lined with servers, their hum a mechanical heartbeat. Harrison lay on a bed nearby, his eyes finding mine, understanding passing between us. The procedure is simple, Vance explained. Your retinal scan, combined with the DNA key we've already processed. One look, and the protocol awakens. I stepped forward, positioning my eye before the scanner. In that moment, I thought of Catherine, the mother I never knew, who had encoded her final act of resistance within my very cells. Of Harrison, who had sacrificed our relationship to protect me from this burden. Even of James, whose love had been real despite the manipulations. "I am Eliza Catherine Blackwood," I said clearly, "and I choose to execute Ouroboros." The scanner flashed. Vance's triumphant smile froze as alarms blared through the building. Screens around us flashed with cascading code, systems shutting down in rapid sequence. "What have you done?" he demanded, lunging toward me as security officers restrained him. "Exactly what my mother designed me to do," I answered. "End it." In the chaos that followed, Vance's arrest, Harrison's medical evacuation, the worldwide shutdown of protocol-infected systems, I found unexpected peace. The Blackwood fortune remained, but the dangerous technology that had nearly consumed 3 lives was gone forever. 3 months later, I stood in the garden of Harrison's Napa Valley estate, watching the sunset paint the vineyard golden. My father, still recovering but growing stronger, sat nearby, sharing stories of Catherine, filling in the missing pieces of my history. James and I had begun a cautious reconciliation, our relationship rebuilt on honesty rather than manipulation. The divorce papers remained unsigned, tucked away as a reminder of how easily we can lose what matters most. "Your mother would be proud," Harrison said, following my gaze to the horizon. "You chose freedom over power. That's the true Blackwood legacy." I smiled, finally comfortable in my own skin, my own identity. I wasn't just Eliza Bennett, the searching adoptee. Nor was I simply Eliza Blackwood, reluctant heiress. I was both and neither, a woman who had found her past only to choose her own future. The choice, after all, had always been mine to make. And so Eliza's extraordinary journey comes to an end, from abandoned daughter to billionaire heiress to the savior of human autonomy itself. What would you have done in her position? Would you have destroyed the protocol or used its power? The choices we make define us more than the circumstances we're born into. If this emotional rollercoaster touched your heart, please subscribe and share your thoughts below. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to bring you more stories that explore the depths of human connection, betrayal, and redemption.